In this video, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to demo how to tackle this over here. So as you can see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 squares, 1, 2, 3, 4 squares. If it makes you feel a little bit better, we can even number them off. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So then this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. That way we kind of see the difference and where each of these squares go. I would suggest either starting with the charcoal stick or with the charcoal pencil. If you use the pencil, make sure to use it lightly, okay? This guy is already super light, so I'm going to go in and I'm just going to give a rough sketch to this. So I'm looking at square one. In square one, we can see there's a curved line that goes downward. So from up here, it might go down something like this. As we go into box 2, so down here, we notice that it slopes slightly down. Then we see all of the little hairs here, and then now we see another line curving upward. And so now as we get into box 4, because box 3 is already done for us, box 4, we see that hair going downward again, and it's even sloping further down than this guy here. So we're going to go ahead and slope it further down. Okay, right here we can see that this one slopes slightly downward too. And so there it is. And so now we have a slight rough sketch as to where our hair is going to be kept. Now we also are noticing that there are some areas in the hair that are slightly darker than others. So over here, and I'm trying to autofocus it. So right here we notice that this area is slightly darker, this area is slightly darker, right? We're noticing over here this is slightly darker. There's some kind of like stripes or strands, right, that are slightly darker. So we're going to go in with this guy and we're going to start kind of shadowing where those areas are on the squares. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to zoom out a little bit so that we can see this a little bit more clearly. And so we can see right in box 1 right here, it starts to get slightly dark here. It kind of goes in this way. It's definitely slightly dark right here on the outline of it. Right, and so we see this right here. We kind of see there's a little connection. Right here in box 2, we can see that it's dark over here. So we're going to go in. And we do want to follow the direction of each of the hair strands. And because these highlights, these lighter areas in the hair are so bright, that's the only reason I'm not adding shadow to the entire like strand of the hair, is just because I want to be as accurate about that as possible. And then from down here, we see that right here, this bottom portion is all dark. So all of that dark. We see it right here. We're also seeing it right here. We see it right here. And this is just the first layer, right? We're building that value. And so I don't want you guys to think that this is going to be the be all end all of the shadows going on here. This is just the first build of it, because we definitely will be seeing some darker areas, some darker strands. And so this is just the first layer, right? We have it kind of building. And so over here, as we look at the image, we start to notice that in this area here, they get slightly darker. So they're darker here on the edge. And right in here, this is where it lightens up. So we already have the lighter value, and in fact, we can go in with either this guy or a napkin to start adding some more value in there, slightly lighter. But I actually am gonna go in with the charcoal pencil now to start adding those darker areas. And so let me go ahead. And so I'm gonna clean this up because this is more of a curve like that. And I'm going to start adding my hair from right here. So the strands of hair are dark in this area. So right here, because this is where it's darkest, that's where I'm going to start. If I start from over here, it'll work. But as we start going down this way, if I get too dark right here in this area, it's not gonna look natural. So we're going to start from where the hair's coming from or where it's darkest. And so it'll be in this area here. Now, I want you guys to keep in mind I am drawing each of these strands individually, and that's normal. It's going to happen. In fact, if you want to change the position of your paper a little bit, you totally can, because over here I can see the outline of the hairs a little bit better. So here I am. Now we're going here. This is where it's darker. Right. And so right now we're just doing a nice little build. If we go in with a little bit more pressure, then we can start seeing some individual hair strands. Okay, but I'm not going in with too much pressure right now because I want to build it, make it look a little bit more natural. Okay, now once we start getting into box 2, here we go. I'm going to start moving a little bit quickly just for the sake of the video. And I am moving all of the hair strands in the direction that the hair is moving. Right, so over here I'm curving it more upward, right here I'm curving it more downward and then up, just to follow the same pattern as the hair. Okay, so now I'm going this way. I'm moving into this area. All right, we're moving over here. We're moving upward. Right, right here, this is where we have a bunch of the hair strands. Right here, it's slightly darker. Over here. Okay, so now we have the outer area kind of done. And so now we could start adding the hair where we see it. So right here, and I'm making nice long strides of hairs. So it kind of looks, it's mimicking the direction. And in here in these middle areas, I'm still adding little hair strands, but I'm being a little bit less thoughtful about it. I'm being a little bit more lazy, not as strict, because that's how we get the organic feel of the hair and organic shapes and forms, right? They happen by nature. Hair we find in nature, it's on human beings. So right here where this is lighter, I'm still adding a few hair strands. It's not completely white, but I'm not going in with too much pressure either. Okay. And the reason is in a second, we're actually going to use this to kind of wipe it up and make it look a little bit cleaner. We can also go in with the kneaded eraser if we prefer. And so in here, this is slightly lighter. Okay, and so now that we have that kind of formed, all of the areas that are slightly lighter, so these lighter areas, that's where I'm going to go in with this guy, or you can go in with your kneaded eraser, but I'm going to start picking some of this up. Okay, So now we're gonna go in with the kneaded eraser. Okay, I do not have my kneaded eraser, forgot to bring it in, so I'm gonna bring this guy into play. It's very similar to a kneaded eraser, so we're gonna go in. Going to start erasing this slightly. Okay, going to start erasing these. We're going to start erasing a little bit of this area here, because as it turns out, this actually has a little bit more going on here. Right. Over here, we're going to erase a bit. We're going to erase a bit here. And then we're going to just slightly sweep that. Okay. Get a little bit further away. And then we can go in and start building it again with this guy. Start just brush it out. Leave this middle area a little bit lighter. That's what's going to give it its more organic, kind of realistic look to it. Here's that. I'm going to make this portion slightly darker.